There we go. All right, everybody should be able to see me now. Make sure. Perfect. All right. All right, so everybody's in. I'm in. Sorry about that, guys. Again, riding solo this week. Doc is still traveling over in Europe. And so great to be on with you guys. I got a number of things I want to jump into today and try to cover in our time together. As always, if you have any tickers that you want me to look at or questions that you have, please make sure that you put them in the Q&A box. We'll answer those for you. And just nice to jump in with you and get going on this today. The first thing I want to start with today is I want to start with the EETH. So the Ethereum, basically just like IBIT, but it's the Ethereum version of the ETF. And so you can see this thing has been on a tear, right? And it's pulled back some. It's gotten pretty exhausted, right? This is what I look for. I want to see something get up here, start to pull back, get pretty exhausted. And so what I'm watching for is I want to see this come down into about right here. See this former kind of resistance that it broke down from and then busted through, come right back down into here, right? Find that support and then bounce from there. And this is what I want to sell into. Now, the options on this thing are extremely rich these days. So if I jump over to, let me show you an options chain here. Let me jump over into that. You're going to notice like these things are, for me, in crazy premium right now. And so what I love is I'm looking out till let's say December. I mean, you can see, look at where these these prices are even, 30, 40 points out of the money, right? So if you're going to do like a 15 delta, it's big wide spread, but you're probably getting $4 or $5 for that. So you're getting almost a 10% return selling into that. Now imagine if we drop, down, another 5-6 points, you're able to sell around like 40 and get yourself a 10% return or better. But if I'm just looking at this for fun right now, I'm looking at like if I do like even a spread trade on this, right? So like for a 5 wide spread, yeah, you're not going to get 140, but you might be getting 120 for that. So you're getting 20% return on risk ish, right? Big, wide, natural. But I was playing with some of these earlier and it was about 15, 20 cents off of them to get those prices and get that sold. So that's a 20% return, 40 by 35. And I'll tell you what, you can use this as the poor man's cash secured put if you want to. Or if you just want to put that much cash into it right now. So you can sell that 40 by 35 put spread. If it comes all the way down to there, you can accept getting it and you can sell out of that 35. You'll make some profit on that. And then you've got it at 40. You can turn around and sell covered calls. It's a great way to play the wheel on this thing if you want to do that. And so something to think about. But if you're going to do that, just make sure you size it appropriately, right? You don't want to put 50 contracts on and not be able to take the shares, right? If that were to happen. So you have to size it appropriately. But that's, this is some very, very rich options in this chain. It's like when IBIT first started out, the options were so rich. And so at some point there will be a pullback. We, should see it pull back a little bit now. I don't think this is the big major one, but at some point we'll see a big haircut on this thing. For right now, I think this thing's got a lot of momentum, EETH. And I think there's a great opportunity to capitalize on that. So let me go back to the charts here. All right. So that's that. Okay. And I just had one come in. Thanks, Mark. We'll take a look at coin. So coin's one that I've been doing a lot on. I sold into it here, right? So we've had a nice bounce off of this. You can see, though, I haven't quite got back up to fill this gap yet, right? So we've got some energy on this thing. We got up to about 44, which is enough energy if this thing wants to spring back up into there. But the weekly charts, I think the thing to watch on this. See this thing charging up. This is like perfect action, right? So we had this move, came off, we burned out that weekly energy. Now this is all one giant sideways consolidation is what we've got. And this is really, look at how we've come right back down. See this former kind of, resistance and support levels here, right here. And this is acting as the support now. And so this is a great place for it to bottom in here, right? Find that next level support. This is just a higher low, and then boom, off to the races again. Now, I will say this. It's very important right now. We are getting in the back half of August, the beginning of September. We've got Powell speaking from Jackson Hole later this week. You just don't know, but typically this time of the year is where we get a pullback, corrective action, volatile markets. Something comes out of the woodwork, and usually it's hindsight, as they say, 2020 in the end, like, oh yeah, that was, it was due to that. But there's some excuse, because if you look at the overall markets, and I'll keep the weekly chart up. We'll just go to the SPX. But you can see, I mean, a run like this, massive run, okay? Massive run. You can see we're starting to roll over a little bit. We're not going up at the pace that we were going before, right? So rolling over a little bit. This is where we could see just that short corrective action, 5% down, right? Just a boom, swift move down, and then you go back up, halfway through September and October, and you run for the rest of the year. So I'm not saying that will happen. This year is definitely different. We had a 20+% correction in the spring, where we still normally, in the spring have some corrective action, not to that extent. So maybe we've gotten the big stuff over for the year, and just this is, grinding market higher. We could see that it can grind just really slowly and go higher, but seeing this kind of roll over and be a little bit slower, is something that is important to watch. We could see it would be very healthy to come down to like 6,000. See that prior resistance, becoming support right there. Man, that would be super healthy to come down, hit that, and then bounce higher. Just like actually what we're seeing on the charts in coin right now. So here's what I would tell you, going back to coin. If you want to sell on coin, something to think about with this is you can either wait and see if it does have any further pullback, or you could say, okay, look, I'll hold through whatever I get. I just want to get a good level. And so when you look at this, you want to sell at, as far down as you can and get the return that you want. So if I was going out to December and I want to get like an 8 to 10% return, I would want to get around 200 or so, somewhere below 250. I want to be below this support. I want to be below the moving average. Would love to be in this zone of confluence down here. Don't think you're going to be able to get below 200, but give yourself that opportunity. And if it does drop somewhere, you might be able to get below 200. But I think you're safe around 200 no matter what on this stock. You just may have to hold a little bit longer if there is a pullback in this thing. So, Mark, I hope that helps you out. I don't know what you're focused on from a return standpoint, but 250 is a really good mark if you want to sell close to the money. You want to go a little bit more, lower probability, if you will, because of this zone right here of confluence right here, this nice former level of resistance that's now kind of support. It's a good spot to be. And if you're trying to if you want to get the stock cheap and you're selling cash secured puts, 250 is a good level to sell to if you're going out further. If you're going short term, obviously you may want to go closer. It's just up to you. But this is putting in a decent bottom right here. The only other thing to watch on this is, is this rolling over and holding, or is this right here going to start to leak lower? So I'd watch this for a couple days, see which way this energy decides to go. It may go up some, right? So you might want to leg in. You may not want to put all the position on at once. Get a little bit now, get a little bit, another couple days, see what happens. But that's an opportunity for you. All right. One thing that I am watching today is the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ is getting to that point where on the daily chart, you can see it's pretty exhausted, pulling back off the top there. That's what we want to see, right? And can we get, again, just that quick trip down, right? And charge the thing back up. So if we look at the weekly, again, kind of rolling over, a natural pullback would be into this level here, 22,000-ish would be the lowest that you could see this thing go on a big major pullback, right? 23,000 would be the first spot to see. Now, remember, this is pulling back to low. So even though it sounds crazy, like 1,600 points, wow, that's a beautiful higher low right there. So again, at these levels, you just don't know. You're putting you're at new highs like all the time. So it's just like when that comes, it's like a game of musical chairs, right? So Like nobody knows when the music stops. I just know we're getting into that time of year that typically is where we see more of that corrective action. Something comes out of work. Powell comes out super hawkish on Friday and is like, we're not lowering rates. There's no way in hell, that sort of thing. Markets, bam, right? And so that's what happens. Oh, good, Mark. Great. Yeah, 200 level be really good if you could do it. You might have to do a put spread to get a return, or if you're just looking for really high probability and you're not so worried about percentage return, you're just looking for like cash flow. 200 is great level. Okay. While I'm on it, I mentioned IBIT. Now IBIT's a little bit different than EETH. So IBIT's pulled back a lot. It's coming right back down here in the channel, and you notice that's charging it up a little bit. Right. So I could see it bottoming about here and then heading back higher. But this thing's starting to put in a nice squeeze on the Bollinger Bands. Here's the last one. It lasted a little while and then boom, spiked out. Right. So something to watch. We could see, a good another week or two of just sideways action like this in the channel. And gold's been doing this forever. I've talked about this each week we've been on. Gold has just been ridiculous in this channel. Right. And at some point, this thing is going to go bonkers one way or the other. And I said last week, just be patient on this. Right. So look at this. We're starting to roll over. We're right there. Look at the squeeze. Look at this massive squeeze. Here was last time. Here was the time before that. Here was the time before that. So which way is this going to go? I think it all has to do with what the Fed does. If the Fed's going to actually go cut rates, that actually may boost gold because it's flooding the market with more money. If things are really hawkish, then you maybe see this go down. But there's a big move coming in gold. In fact, I've got some gold positions. I'm almost out of them all, and I'm not putting any new ones on until I see which way this thing goes. So this is something that I'm really, really watching right now, because whichever way this breaks, it's going to be a great opportunity to take advantage of the momentum. You don't have to get it right? You don't have to be perfect on timing. If you want to be crazy, you could, buy something on either side of this. You could do like basically like a straddle on this thing, right? Buy the same distance out or the same price and then see what happens. But from my experience, that doesn't work that well. It's easier to see which way this thing breaks and then take advantage of it. You can, if it breaks higher, you can sell puts and put spreads, follow it up. If it breaks down, you can sell call spreads, follow it down. You can buy, right? You can buy puts, you can buy calls, which way it goes, take advantage of it. So let it break through either the 316 level or the 295 level from this squeeze. That'll tell you. And it'll be the initial move would be pretty big. You'll see like a $5 to $8 move in either direction to really get this thing going. So that's something to watch. And then you'll have a pretty good idea on that. So, all right. Any other questions? Let's see here. No. If you have any other questions, guys, put them in. Okay, so we've covered IBIT, we've covered gold, we've covered a lot of these players that are out there. Another one to watch today is Palantir. So Palantir, pretty exhausted, right? Especially on the weekly chart. Been moving just massively higher, incredibly overvalued. It started to pull back over the last few days. That's charged it up. I don't know which way this goes yet, though. Again, this gets charged up. I don't know if we break out again or if we do correct down. Anywhere down here in the 140s to 130s would be a great place to sell into on this thing. But this has been a decent pullback, and that's because there's actually a lot of shorts on this thing. So something to pay attention to there. Tesla has started to quietly creep higher. And that's something else I've been watching. It's still in this channel, but it's staying at the top of this channel. I'm watching for this thing to break out. So about 340, 350, I want to see this thing break out from. And you can see it's holding this level really, really well. This is basically kind of like a bull flag here. We got a lot of energy on the weekly chart. So this thing is, maybe poised to make a run this fall. We may have to go through that corrective action first over the next few weeks. We may see that, and then things will get off to the races. But I think this thing's going to make a run back up towards 400, maybe over the next few months. So another thing to watch there. Another one that I haven't talked about much, but man, I played this a lot this year, is GEV. So this stock has been insane this year. And you can see here's when the run started. And this is about where I was starting to play it. I was selling into it here and I've just been following this thing up. But my gosh, what a run, right? So it's a double. You hear about getting a two bagger or a doubler. That's pretty impressive. And so now it's pulling back again. It's not quite to exhaustion. I'd like to see it come right back down into this breakout level, 550 to 600. Burn some of this out a little bit more, and then I'd look at selling into it again. This thing has just been unstoppable this year. Another one is Carvana. So Carvana's been one that has just been impressive as well for quite some time. Great options activity in this thing. It's getting ready, it looks like, to break out to the upside again. It's got a really good 300 level or below mark. So if you're looking at another one, like looking at Carvana's another one, 263 is the 200 day moving average. You can get down there. That's pretty sweet. You probably can out to like December and still get a nice 8 to 10% or more if you're doing spreads. So Carvana's one to watch and stay on top of. This just is a mover and a shaker. One other to think about too right now is CrowdStrike. It's got earnings coming up this week, I think it's or maybe early next week, but it's had such a beat down over the last however many weeks. It's now fully charged up and at a really good spot here. So I could see this thing really going higher on earnings. Something to think about from there. Good time to look at selling deep into this, right down 300 or below. You could potentially get to, again, if you're going out like a few months out to like December or so. So these are just some of the ones that I've been kind of watching, guys, that have really good options activity, have really good premiums in it. Talking about the levels that you want to look at these things. Probably my last one is MSTR. MSTR has been on a path downward for a while. It's interesting. I mean, Bitcoin's done pretty well. It's pulling back some right now. I think it's at 115-ish today or so. But this thing's been just kind of in this downward trend, and that daily energy is kind of driving it down. The weekly is pretty charged up, but it's getting, getting to that point where it's right at that kind of former level of support. And so our support was here, and then it's come down, and now that top of that becomes maybe support again. So and I don't have to go into the options premium activity in this thing. It is crazy good. If you're selling, want to sell deep out of the money, you can probably sell 200-ish on this thing out, 3 to 6 months and get some really good premium on this thing. So something else to look at on strategy there. So those are the main things, guys. Those are the big things that I'm watching this week, things that I'm just taking advantage of as they come. Another area is the nuclear side. NNE is a good one. It's getting beat up a little bit today. Oklo, those guys. So it's getting beat up a little bit today. This thing is, just had its earnings. So there you go. But you can see the energy in this thing doesn't go all the way down. It usually goes to about this range and then turns around. So it's at the bottom Bollinger Band. Good one to look at selling into today. I actually may go out and sell into this deep below 20 today. So this is one that I've been following that I've liked for a little while. So yeah, that's really the big stuff, guys. I think, the bigger things this week, the big news of the week is going to be Powell at Jackson Hole. That's going to set the tone for what rates and stuff probably going to look like, what we're going to do in September. So I think the market's going to hinge on that. It'll probably go nowhere until Friday. Honestly, the market will probably just be sideways until then. So great week to, really, burn some time. And if you got short-term positions, get out ahead of Friday, it'd be good. And then we're getting into the last, back half of August and early September. And we'll see if we get that volatility. If it doesn't happen, we'll just kind of probably creep higher like we're seeing in the charts. But just don't be surprised if you get this like short-term, just smackdown that comes out of nowhere, like 100-point day to kick it off on the SPX. And it's like, where did that come from? Right. Because at levels like this, all somebody needs, all the big players need is an excuse to take some profits, right? You're at all-time highs basically. And so just any little whiff of something, let's take some profits off the table, let's secure the positions, that sort of thing. And that's why you get those moves like that. So, so just don't be surprised that happens. That is great opportunity. I've been, basically, getting cash really just ready to go for, any move like that, because it'll be, I think, short lived, and take advantage. So thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, as always, you can send them to us at support@12minutetrading.com. You can leave comments, below. We always try to get to them as fast as we can throughout the week. So we'll answer those for you. And I've got another week of flying solo, and then Doc's back and we're together again. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next Monday. Have a good one.